Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now to our interview with the second guest of the day. I am joined by a political analyst and former African representative at the World Assembly of Youth, Marvin Yobana, tonight to discuss in River State's House of Assembly crisis. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, viewers.
Right. A very important discussion tonight, as River State's House has been divided since the inferno that got at the Hallowed Chamber on October 29. How will you describe the situation now?
Well, like I used to say, these are really interesting times in River State politics because we seem to have a long jam at the State Assembly where there are two factional leadership as we speak today. And the courts have actually gone further to bar both parties from participating in do anything further in terms of claiming leadership or doing anything in terms of legislative job. I wanted to draw our attention that on the 9th of November, there was a suit that was initiated by the last Speaker of the House, Right Honorable Edison Ehie, suit number FHC PHCS 240-2023. In that suit, Edison Ehie and his group went to the Federal High Court to seek and challenge Right Honorable Martins Chike Amehule and 13 others, and to stop them from parading themselves as the leadership of the House. And the Honorable Court granted that suit and said that status quo should remain and that none of them should take any further steps on the subject matter until the case is dispensed of. But unfortunately, the same parties came back to have a sitting, which almost caused a lot of breakdown of law and order, if not for the intervention of the security agents. So I think that what is happening in River State as we speak today is certain lawmakers who have refused to respect the order of a court of competent jurisdiction. So I see it as trying to slow down governance in River State, because what is happening now as we speak today is that if the Assembly does not put their house together and they are not able to solve this issue, it means that the state cannot move forward, because the governor is supposed to go to the Assembly to pass his budget. But as we speak today, there's no Assembly for him to pass his budget. We don't know who actually is in charge of the leadership of the Assembly as we speak today.
So what's the implication of this? I mean, you just said that despite a court order restraining both factions from sitting, the Martins Amehule faction sat. What's the implication of this?
The implication of that is that we are moving towards an anarchy, in terms that when lawmakers refuse to respect the order of a court, they themselves are lawmakers. It then means that they are no respecters of the people, and that they don't want to respect democracy, and they don't want to believe in the democratic values that they try to enshrine. And even the laws that they pass is of no value to them. So what is happening in the state is that the executive arm of government is trying to make sure that all the parties come together and that issues are resolved within the party level, because they are all members of the same political party. But if this thing stretches further, it might attract other political gladiators who might want to strive on the politics and on the crisis to cause more chaos in the state. And it's not something we can accept, because the president, as the father of the nation, has called both parties together and asked them to resolve these issues and go back and work together. And as we speak till today, the governor of the state has not done anything that the Assembly has said, look at what the governor did here, that will warrant his purported attempt impeachment by some factions of the assembly that has been suspended by another faction, and even at that, the governor has not said anything that is provocative to either the Honorable Minister of FCT, neither has the Honorable Minister of FCT said anything provocative to the governor. So I think these political actors that are trying to whip up sentiment and create crisis where there's no crisis should be called to order. The law enforcement president to take further steps to ensure that these persons are called to order and there is peace, because Rivers State remains the hub of economic activities in the Niger Delta. And you cannot push away Rivers State that is responsible for a huge chunk of the federal allocation that comes to the federal government. Because if this place if there's breakdown of law and order in Rivers State, the oil companies and other multinationals will not be able to operate here. And what do you have? We are
Mr. Yobana.
Pipeline vandalism and all these stuff.
Right.
And if we bring in political crisis again, what do we have at the end of the day? So my own is an appeal to the political gladiators that they should shield their swords, find a common ground to work together and respect the order of the court. And that is my own appeal.
Absolutely. So how gravely complicated is this matter? Because members of the faction led by Amewule elected the former chief whip, Major Jack, as the majority leader, and frankly, Nwaboji as the chief whip. And some analysts say this will further complicate the crisis. What's your view?
Well, we are waiting on the court. The court will make pronouncements if those actions they took is legal or illegal, if it's of any value or of no consequence. The courts will make their pronouncements. So since these cases are sub judice, I will not discuss on the actions that they took on the floor. It is left for the law court to enforce the orders that they had already made. Because the judiciary remains the last hope for the common man, like we say, and the judiciary, since it's the last hope of the common man, should be seen as not only backing, but be able to bite. So if anybody has gone foul of the law, the judiciary will be able to make some pronouncements. There are sections of the law that can be invoked to ensure that erring parties are treated in such a way that it serves as a deterrent to others who want to break the law or to go against the ruling of a court. So that is what I think should happen. On the other political front, it behoves on the leadership of the state, the leaders we have in Rivers State, the traditional leaders, religious leaders, political leaders, and community leaders, to call these actors to order, to talk to them and appeal to them and see how we can find a common ground and find out what is the root cause of this problem. Because the governor did not do anything that warranted his attempted impeachment. Nobody has been able to say this is what the governor did that contravened the Constitution, that warranted his purported attempt impeachment by some members of the assembly that were suspended by this other group. So I think that it is time that we cannot fold our hands and have crisis in Rivers State, because Mr. President is working so hard to elevate this economy that he made a very battered economy. He's been going from one country to the other, talking to investors, talking to other people to see how they could invest in Nigeria and how he could rejig the economy. But we cannot be seen causing crisis for Mr. President here in Rivers State, where Rivers State is a potential investment destination for any investor coming into Nigeria. So I think that the political actors should understand that because Rivers State is keyed into that renewed hope of Mr. President, that we should all ensure that we do not cause problem for Mr. President.
All right,
so I think the president should call the political gladiators to order and talk to them once more to see if he can talk sense into them.
What do you make of some constituents from the 4 local government areas of Ogoniland who have said they have commenced the process to recall the 4 lawmakers representing the areas in the State Assembly? What do you make of this?
Well, it is not only in Ogoni, it's all across the state. I know that most of their constituents have started the process of the recall. They started taking the registers, getting signatories and all that. So It is part of to show that the people are not with them, because what they did is something that is undemocratic. You cannot coerce a sitting governor to do your own bidding or to do what you want. And that since the electorates are not happy with them, then they are going to face the electorate tomorrow, because the electorate have started saying, look, we want to recall these people for not doing exactly what we asked them to do. And it's a constitutional right that the electorate have. You have the right to recall any erring representative that does not do exactly what you people want him to do. So if they can get majority of the signatories that is accepted by law, such persons can be recalled. INEC has given the provisions, even in the Electoral Act, for that. And such things are possible. So I think if they get back to their senses and retreat their steps, I think the electorate would have mercy on them. Right. But otherwise, they are becoming number one enemies of the people, because the people are with the governor, and anybody who declares himself a number one enemy of the people, he has himself to blame.
But some stakeholders have called for the takeover of Rivers Assembly by the National Assembly. Do you support this?
Well, for me, I am a law-abiding citizen of this country, and I don't think the crisis so far, for me, to my own understanding, it has not gotten to the stage where we'll say, okay, let the National Assembly take it over or not. But if it impedes the act of governance in the state, the law is very clear. The National Assembly will take over the runnings of the State Assembly. It is very clear. But for now, since this case is still within the law courts, I will want us to exhaust that, first of all. But if it has to do with the running of the state and it affects it, definitely the National Assembly will take it over, they like it or not.
Mm. So while the faction led by Amewule is loyal to former Governor Wike, the other led by Edison is loyal to Governor Fubara, how do you think both parties, now to be very specific, Wike and Fubara, can bury the hatchet?
Well, I don't think that the governor has any hatchet to bury against anybody. All I know from all the information and what we hear from the media and from what we see happening in Rivers State, the governor has not granted any press interview accusing the former governor of the state and current minister of FCT of anything. He has not granted any interview like that. It is only the Honorable Minister of FCT that granted an interview and said a lot about the governor of the state. Yet, the governor has chosen the path of peace, reconciliation, and he, as a humble person, he has decided to follow that path. He was the one that even went to the governor, to the former governor. He went to the minister and discussed to him, and also they went to church together. So there's nothing the governor has done that he needs to bury hatchet. It is the Honorable Minister for FCT that actually needs to bury the hatchet. Follow his pride, know that he's a father, behave as an elder statesman, and come and discuss. If there are issues he feels aggrieved about, put them on the table. Let him remember that he's serving the president of the Federal Republic, and he's doing a wonderful job in Abuja, right, of which we are all proud of him. But he should not allow himself to be pushed to cause crisis in Rivers State. That is not good. And it's not even good for his own image or for the image of Mr. President. Right. So please, I will use this medium to appeal to the Honorable Minister for FCT. So please, find even grounds where if there are issues, he can table it. We have leaders and elders in the state where he can table these matters. They are religious leaders. And any issue that he feels that he's highly angry about can be resolved. There's only one governor at a time in every state. So I appeal to him.
So
he's
interestingly,
our
Mr. Yobana, interestingly, yes, many citizens have commended the State Police Command for being neutral in this assembly crisis. What's your own opinion? Are you surprised?
Well, it depends on where you look at it from. If police being neutral, is it not the same police that shot at the governor, poured water on him when he was going to see the inferno that happened at the assembly? It's the same police that attacked the governor. You know, is it not the same police that escorted one faction to go and sit? So I don't know how they define neutrality.
So you do not think the police have been neutral in this case?
I have not seen neutrality. I stay in Rivers State. I have not seen neutrality. I'm talking to you from Rivers State. So if there's a neutrality, we are yet to see. Maybe neutral somewhere, but we are not seeing the neutrality. Right. Neutrality means that you bar the both factions from sitting. Neutrality means that you protect the coat of arms. You protect the Constitution that you swore to protect. You will create an enabling environment to protect life and property. You will also ensure that you forestall any crisis. You do not carry out any act that will lead to breakdown of law and order. This is how to be neutral. And if neutrality is anything to be defined, it means that you do not support any party. So I don't know what neutrality means in this discussion, but what I'm saying in clear terms is that the police should be neutral and seem to be neutral.
All right.
Not just the police, all the security agencies.
All right, then. Political analyst and former African representative at the World Assembly of Youth, Marvin Yobana. Thank you so much for joining us this night as we discuss the Rivers State House of Assembly crisis. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that both parties come together and find a common ground for the peace and progress of Rivers State. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. That is our prayer. Thank you.